Yankees fans, this is one of those moments where everything feels quiet on the surface, but underneath, the front office is clearly working through some massive decisions that could shape the roster for years. The Cody Bellinger talks haven't collapsed, but they've slowed down enough to raise real questions. The Freddy Peralta trade rumors now come with a clearer price tag, and it's not a small one. And then there's Luis Robert, a name that keeps popping up on the Yankees' radar, even if nothing is close yet. Tonight, we're breaking down what's actually happening, what's noise, what's realistic, and what this all means for the Yankees' next move. The last few days have felt strange if you're following the Yankees closely, because there hasn't been a big splash. No official announcement, no headline-grabbing signing, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. In fact, this might be one of the most important stretches of the offseason, because the Yankees are clearly at a crossroads. They're balancing short-term needs with long-term flexibility, and that's exactly why the Cody Bellinger situation is slowed instead of sped up. Earlier in the offseason, it felt like Bellinger to the Yankees was gaining momentum. The fit made sense on paper. He brings defensive versatility, left-handed power, playoff experience, and the ability to play both the outfield and first base. But as talks have progressed, the reality of contract length, average annual value, and roster impact has started to slow things down. The Yankees are not out on Bellinger, but they are being careful, and that's an important distinction. This isn't a case of the Yankees losing interest. It's a case of the Yankees trying to avoid locking themselves into a deal that could limit future flexibility, especially with young players pushing for opportunities and other potential trades still on the table. Bellinger is coming off a strong bounce-back season, but the Yankees have to decide whether that production is the new normal or just one strong year after multiple inconsistent ones. That kind of evaluation takes time, and it explains why things have cooled rather than accelerated. At the same time, the Yankees are actively surveying the trade market, and one of the clearest examples of that is the Freddy Peralta situation. Peralta is a pitcher the Yankees have liked for a while, and for good reason. He's relatively young, he has swing and miss stuff, and he's under team control on a very team-friendly contract. On paper, that makes him extremely attractive for a team like the Yankees that wants to reinforce its rotation without committing massive long-term money. But here's where reality sets in. The cost to acquire Peralta has now become clearer, and it's steep. Teams don't give up controllable, high-upside starting pitchers without demanding real value in return. The Yankees would likely have to part with multiple top prospects or young Major League-ready players to even get the Brewers to listen seriously. This is where the Yankees front office has to ask a tough question. Is upgrading the rotation by trading for Peralta worth potentially thinning out the farm system, especially when the organization has worked hard to rebuild its prospect depth? There's no easy answer, and that's why nothing has happened yet. It's not because the Yankees don't want Peralta. It's because they're trying to determine if the price aligns with their broader plan. And while Bellinger and Peralta are being discussed, there's another name that continues to hover around the Yankees like a shadow, and that's Luis Robert. Now, let's be very clear here, because this is where a lot of misinformation tends to creep in. Luis Robert is not on the verge of being traded, and there is no report suggesting the Yankees are close to a deal. What is happening, however, is that the Yankees, like many teams, are monitoring the situation. Robert is one of the most talented outfielders in baseball when healthy. He brings elite defense, power, speed, and the kind of athleticism that changes games. But he also comes with risk, mainly due to his injury history and the significant prospect cost it would take to acquire him. The White Sox have no reason to give him away, and if they ever seriously entertain trade talks, the asking price would be enormous. From the Yankees' perspective, this is more about awareness than action right now. They're doing their homework. They're tracking availability. They're preparing in case the market shifts. That doesn't mean a deal is imminent. It means they don't want to be caught off guard. When you step back and look at all three situations together, a pattern starts to emerge. The Yankees are not rushing. After years of being criticized for impulsive moves or half measures, this front office appears determined to be methodical. Slowing down on Bellinger suggests they are carefully weighing risk versus reward. Hesitating on Peralta shows they're protecting their long-term assets. Monitoring Luis Robert indicates they're thinking big without acting recklessly. This is a very different approach than what fans might be used to, especially in an era where social media makes every hour without news feel like a missed opportunity. But patience doesn't mean inactivity. It means the Yankees are trying to line up the right move, not just any move. Another important layer to this is the internal roster. The Yankees have young players who need at-bats and innings. Any major addition, whether it's Bellinger in the lineup or Peralta in the rotation, has a ripple effect. Signing Bellinger could impact first base, left field, and even the development path of younger hitters. Trading for Peralta could block opportunities for internal pitching options or force the team to make tough decisions later. These are the kinds of things that don't show up in a headline but matter immensely when building a roster that can compete over a full season and into October. The Yankees are clearly trying to avoid moves that create more problems than they solve. It's also worth noting that the market itself is playing a role in this slowdown. Prices are high. Teams are valuing controllable talent more than ever. Free agents want security, and trade partners want premium returns. In that environment, waiting can sometimes be the smartest play. If the Bellinger market softens, the Yankees could re-engage on more favorable terms. If the Brewers decide to pivot and lower their asking price for Peralta, the Yankees would be in position to act. If the White Sox shift direction and listen more seriously on Luis Robert, the Yankees will already have the groundwork done. None of that happens if you rush early. For fans, this can be frustrating, especially when rival teams make moves that grab attention. But not every quiet period is a failure. Sometimes it's a setup. Sometimes it's about leverage. Sometimes it's about waiting for the right domino to fall. The Yankees know the expectations. They know standing still isn't an option. But they also know that one poorly calculated move can haunt a team for years, especially in a division as competitive as the American League East. As of now, the most honest way to describe the situation is this. The Bellinger deal is not dead, just slowed. The Peralta trade is possible, but expensive. Luis Robert is on the radar, not on the doorstep. Everything else is speculation layered on top of those facts. The coming weeks will be crucial, because once one major piece moves, the entire board can shift. A signing or trade by another team could change prices, availability, and urgency across the league. The Yankees are watching all of it closely. So the big takeaway here isn't panic, and it isn't blind optimism either. It's awareness. The Yankees are navigating a complicated market with multiple paths available, and the choices they make now will define not just the opening day roster, but the competitive window of this team. If they strike the right balance, this quiet stretch could end up being the calm before a very impactful move. If they misjudge it, the consequences will be felt all season. That's why this moment matters, even without a breaking transaction to announce. Let me know what you think. Would you rather the Yankees push harder for Bellinger now, pay the price for Peralta, or hold assets in case a player like Luis Robert truly becomes available? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you want real Yankees updates without the misleading hype, make sure you're subscribed, because the moment something actually breaks, we'll break it down the right way.